North Atlantic, including U-570, which was salvaged and converted to service for the British. Thousands of Hudsons rolled off the Lockheed production line during the 3 years they were manufactured. The pilots entrusted with delivering them to Britain included record-breaker Jacqueline Cochran. The first female pilot to ferry a bomber across the Atlantic, Cochran was appointed a wing commander in the British Auxiliary Transport Service. She later helped found the U.S. Women Air Force Service Pilots, which trained 1,000 women pilots to ferry military aircraft around the country.
Miss Jacqueline Cochran, first woman to pilot a Hudson bomber across the Atlantic to Britain, is a welcome visitor at one of our fighter stations. The attractive young American wishes happy landings to a number of pilots, setting out on an aerial sweep over enemy-occupied territory. Amid fighter aircraft and surrounded by the people she is helping by ferrying planes to them from America, we bring Miss Cochran to the microphone to say a few words.
The greatest thrill of my life was acting as first officer in the bomber which I brought from America to Great Britain. I've been flying for 9 years, and it's always been as a sporting event with me and for my own entertainment. For once, I've done something that I feel is a contribution to a cause that I'm in sympathy with Great Britain. I hope I may be privileged to do a great deal more. Today I have seen the most magnificent thing that I ever hoped to see, a very large group of women, the Women's Auxiliary Air Force. And they are doing a job and the most diversified work that I've ever seen done by women. They're relieving hundreds of men, really doing a man's job, each and every one, and to help their country. And I wish it were possible that I could stay here and help them. But maybe in America I can do enough to make up what I can't do here.
More than 2,500 Hudson bombers were built during the war, and they served with air forces in Australia, Brazil, Canada, and New Zealand. However, they became outmoded as the war went on and started to be pulled from service in 1944.
Whenever you pick up your paper or listen into the news bulletins and you read or hear those familiar words, the Air Ministry have issued the following communique. Bear these pictures in mind.
Bogged down in the Eastern Front, the German war machine came under increasing pressure from RAF Bomber Command's precision strategic bombing campaign. The British put the Handley Page Halifax to work. The 4-engine heavy bomber produced by English Electric carried 13,000 pounds of bombs and entered service in November 1940. Halifax bombers flew almost 83,000 operations, dropping more than 220,000 bombs, many of them over Germany. The Avro Lancaster, a 4-engined monster that became the most successful night bomber of the war, usually accompanied them. Lancasters carried the heaviest bombs ever made, and several were modified to transport Grand Slam earthquake bombs, which successfully penetrated the 30-foot thick ceilings, protecting the Hooge and Brest U-boat pens. From the outset of the war, it was clear to military planners that air campaigns were as critical as those fought thousands of feet below. The Allies clawed back ground in Europe, using bomber squadrons to deliver deadly payloads designed to cripple German infrastructure and undermine civilian morale.
The sirens are wailing and the bombs dropping in Germany.
The one thing that will bring Germany down, said Prime Minister Winston Churchill, is an absolutely devastating, exterminating attack by very heavy bombers from this day upon the Nazi homeland. After suffering heavy losses early in the war, Bomber Command transformed its day bomber force into night bombers that targeted vast areas of Germany's Ruhr industrial heartland. Following the fall of France in 1940, the RAF carried out daylight raids on the German invasion forces.
World War II proved the military importance of air power. While aviation had played a minor role in 1918, supremacy in the skies was to become the key to Allied victory. Wave after wave of bombers roared across the channel, battling on their way the enemy aircraft that darted after them like deadly wasps. Rumbling on, the giant ships drop their cargoes of devastation.
Well, did you reach your target?
Yes, and bombed.
And you dropped 2 250s and 12 40s.
That's right.
Now, did you observe any results?
Well, I myself didn't, but I believe my gunner did.
And what did you see?
One burst directly on the hangar, sir.
Yes.
And the 40s exploded across the aircraft, dispersed.
How many aircraft were there?
About 7, sir.
About 7. Do you think you did any damage to them?
Yes, sir. They burst right across.
I see. Did you see any damage done?
Yes,
to
sir. I
them?
gave them a burst as we went through.
And you feel certain you hit them?
Yes, sir, definitely.
And you didn't see any actual flames or anything like that, but you feel quite sure that you did definite damage to the
Yes.
3 aircraft which were in the northwest corner of the drill. Now, I think that's all, gentlemen. Thank you much. Nothing else you can tell me? You didn't see anything on the way back?
No.
Right, thank you very much.
With the help of the 8th, a branch of the US Air Force established in England, Bomber Command sent waves of bombers over the Channel. Known as area or terror bombing, the strategy targeted entire cities and towns. The manpower and machines of the American Air Force were vital to Allied success in Europe. And one of the most important contributions came from the B-17 Flying Fortress. The 4-engine heavy bomber was originally designed to protect the continental United States, but saw its first war service with the RAF in 1941. The B-17 came into its own when American pilots flew it on the daylight bombing missions that complemented the RAF's nighttime raids and prepared the ground for Operation Overlord, the Allies' European ground offensive. The highly classified Norden bomb sight was installed in the B-17 in an attempt to improve the accuracy of high-altitude bombing. The Norden was so top secret that bomber crews were instructed to protect the bomb site with their lives. After each successful mission, the bombardier was required to lodge the Norden at a secure facility on the airbase.
Cathay Gazette brings you pictures of the huge American Boeing Flying Fortresses in their first operational attack on the enemy. Participating in a massive daylight bombing raid, these formidable aircraft and their specially trained RAF crews make flying history as they prepare to make the first stratosphere bombing attack in actual warfare. Clothed in high-altitude flying kit, they're about to ascend into the rarefied atmosphere where the human frame is subjected to a tremendous strain. Between 6 and 7 miles above the Earth's surface, the thermometer falls to 56 degrees below zero, and the men, as well as the machines, have to be supercharged. Special oxygen-breathing apparatus enables them to counteract the low pressure in the realms where no man could breathe. 1,200 horsepower motors carry the Fortress away on its mission, heading for a fantastic height over its target. A second bomb-laden monster takes off, and the stratosphere adventure has begun. Out of sight and hearing, the scream of their bombs will be the only sound that will disclose their presence. After their journey into the regions of frost and ice, the Fortresses return to summer heat after leading the way in one of the most destructive raids carried out on Brest. We have every reason to be proud of these supermen of Bomber Command.
On the morning of the 6th of June, they struck at the European continent.
The B-17 dropped 650,000 tons of bombs during World War II, more than any other American aircraft, and took out 11 German U-boats. But the American Air Force sustained heavy losses against the Luftwaffe until the introduction of long-range fighter escorts. As the most produced U.S. military